Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Libra for October 2015. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, where you can see more about my current offerings, and you can become part of my VIP crew by signing up for my free email newsletter. You get instant goodies and goodies to come. So we've got quite an active month of October. We have birthdays for the rest of you who didn't have your birthdays in September. We've got general transits to talk about. We've got specific things for Libra to talk about. So let's start with birthdays. Birthdays are very exciting. Some of you may not like birthdays and some of you may love birthdays, but I hope that if you're a person that doesn't like birthdays, you at least start to become awakened to the latent power that is sitting in your being at that time, because the sun in the sky represents the things that you want. All of the planets represent, and asteroids and all of the heavenly bodies represent energies that within us and that we have as humans in this human experience. And the sun rules the things that we want, our desires, what creatively lights us up, what gets us all happy, and what we want. It's what we want. So birthday wishes are astrological. When the sun in the sky gets to the same point in your chart as it was when you were born, this is called your solar return. And there are many things to look at. There's a solar return chart, which we look at in addition to the other charts, which show the energies of the coming year. And there's a lot of very important things in that moment that the sun gets back to the same point in your chart where it was when you were born. The easiest to follow through with is to make your birthday wishes. I have always done 10 birthday wishes. I don't know the significance of that, so I'm sorry I can't give you some history there. But you write your wishes down, you say them out loud, and most importantly, you feel them as if they're coming true. Taking this extra step is going to start to really initiate the magic of manifestation in your life. If you listen to any of the masters who teach about manifestation, people always talk about the same things because this is a universal truth. The feeling of something brings it into our being. So the more you can feel the things that you want as if they're already here, the more you're going to be able to create the life that you want. And your birthday wishes, especially at this time, you're just like a force to be reckoned with. So definitely do your birthday wishes. We had started talking last month about the fact that the sun moves into your 12th solar house before your birthday. So for those of you who have later Libra birthdays, you might still have the sun in your 12th house. If you've had your birthday already by the time you listen to this, then this particular aspect of the sun being in your 12th house won't be accurate for you anymore. But there's a tremendous amount of other energy in the 12th house. So regardless of where your birthday is or what degree your sign, your Libra sign is for your rising sign or your moon, whichever you're watching this report for, there's this huge energy grouping within the 12th house. And for every planet that is in or is going into the 12th house, there's more lines of focus to that 12th house. So this focus on the 12th house that very much started for the earlier birthdays is really starting to kick into high gear. Now, Jupiter is also playing a part in this for some of you, and some of these are shorter term planets, but regardless, there's a massive amount of energy in the 12th house. So the 12th house is like the attic. It's like the part of your house, the part of your life where you sweep everything, or it's like under a rug or behind the refrigerator. It's these places that you don't focus on very much. And in fact, you put things there, like the garage maybe. You don't want to deal with those things. Maybe it's dusty, maybe it's moldy, maybe there's critters going around. It's that area. But in that area, there's all these things that are kind of gross, but there's also treasures. There are treasures in these places. Like maybe you find the missing toy that your child was like, I want my whatever it is, and you go to clean behind the fridge and somehow it got back there, or in the attic, something of value you find there from your ancestry or from the previous homeowners. There's this very rich, fertile ground. So there's this focus on the 12th house. This is also the house of resting and quiet time and relaxation. It's called the house of sabbatical. It's like the energy of, a monk in a cave, in a mountain, on a distant, land, in a distant land of just like being quiet in this cave and accessing the all that is. You know, very much represents the meditation space, that space of meditation, that space between like dusk, you know, where it's just starting to get, like where it's light, but it's starting to get dark. And then when it's dark and starting to get light, those tween times. It's very much that energy, you know, it's these between worlds, this mixing, this blending. So everything involving those things are fair game for expansion or focus in this period of time and the times coming up. And this is going to be staggered for some of you. You very late degree placements, and even some of you middle degree placements, you're still having some pretty strong energy in your 11th house. You early degree placements or birthdays earlier in the sign, like September birthdays or first couple of days of October, or like, you know, the first 10-ish or so degrees of the rising or moon, you've already had this focus on the 11th house pass. So this isn't as applicable to you. For you, you're starting to have energy move into the first house. The first house is the house of rebirth and new beginnings and focus on the physical body and active. It's very active type of an energy and like forward moving type of an energy. So, you know, depending on your placements, you're either going to be like moving into this really active time or moving into this really quiet time. And some of you are going to have both of these things where it's like really active in some aspects, but then it's really quiet in some other aspects, you know. So for those of you who have middle to late degree placements of Libra, I highly recommend that you listen to my Scorpio report for October. Now, in general, you late placements of Libra or late birthdays in Libra or late degrees in Libra, it's really good for you to start to pick up the early Scorpio reports. Anything I say about early Scorpio is always going to have some place for you. But particularly this month, I did a really thorough job of getting at a lot of aspects of the 11th house that are really important and really exciting and really wonderful, and gave some great illustrations of how you can maximize this energy. So I'm not going to do as comprehensive a job on this here because we have so many other things to talk about also, but definitely would behoove you to listen to that Scorpio report for you later degree and middle degree placements, and in general every month for you later degree placements, because really the late degree Libra chart looks exactly like the early degree Scorpio chart. So if you listen to both Libra and Scorpio, you're going to pick up pieces that are for you, piecing together this bigger picture. Okay, so some general summaries though. The 11th house is the house of the internet, social things, social media, social gatherings, parties, friends, acquaintances, groups, clubs, humanitarian efforts, community events, the greater good, humanitarian efforts, I don't know if I said that, anything internet related or internet based. In some ways, all of your very technological devices, high-tech stuff is all in the 11th house. Also, the 11th house is the house, and this is what I go into great detail about, besides some other things in the Scorpio report that I don't want you to miss, is that this is the house of your big dreams. It's the dreams that, not the ones you have at night, those are in the 12th house, and those can be quite active as you have all these energies moving through your 12th house. But these are the dreams that you have like for your life. And for those of you who don't make it over to listen to that report, I'll give you another brief summary of some things that I said there, which is all surrounding this question of being happy now. I think the most important question people can ask themselves and really do something about, and this transcends all astrology. This transcends current placements, transcends things in your natal and personal charts. Are you buying into the trap of I'll be happy when? The 11th house is very much about your happiness and the things that you really want in your life. And most people fall into this trap of, well, I'll be really happy when I graduate from school, when I get a good job, when I have all this nest egg saved, when my this, when I feel this, when my relationship this, when blah, blah, blah. I'll be happy when. And if you look over your life as to all the I'll be happy when stuff went on, you never quite got happy because there was always the next thing, like, okay, now I just have to get this. I just have to get this situated. And it kind of either comes and then it doesn't make you happy, or you're just wrapped up in this perpetual quest for happiness being outside of yourself. It's another huge factor. So with this energy in the 11th house, you can change the question. I gave it a very specific dramatic experience from my personal life in the other report that you can listen to. But in general, at that period of time, I created this game called What's Great About This? And you'll hear me talk about this sometimes in reports. If you start to ask the question, what is great about this? Even in its infinite suckiness, whatever it might be, if it seems like it's terrible, you know? What is great about this? What could be great about this? Even if it's not what's great about this, what else is great about life? What is great about my life? What is great in life in general? What is great? What can I focus on here that will get me back to focusing on happiness and creating happiness now? That is a huge quest, and that is something that supersedes astrology, as I said, but it's specific to some of the aspects that are being lit up in the Libra chart. So that's why I'm bringing it up now as a special point of discussion for you. So this 12th house focus for everyone, you might decide you want to have more resting time. You might decide you want to get stronger into meditation, into different types of meditation if you already are meditating. This rules hypnosis, deep psychological work, either with other people or on your own. Past life regression, any kind of energetic healing work could be grouped into here. You know, anything that you do, looking at your programs, your wiring, even just standard like Tony Robbins type of, oh, I love him, Tony Robbins type of like, how are you going to succeed stuff? He goes into the emotional parts of things too. It's really hard to be a coach and coach people on success and succeeding unless you take this emotional component and how your mental and emotional structure is causing you to not have the success and on every level and happiness that you want. So this 12th house focus is bringing all your energy there. And some of you don't want to look at it. And if you don't want to look at it, you might find that you're self-medicating. You might find that you're thinking you need more of medications that you're already taking that were prescribed to you. You might find yourself moving into this avoidance mode because it's so uncomfortable. It makes me think of one of my all-time favorite self-help books, which is called, or self-development books, which is called The Presence Process by Michael Brown. And I guess it can be said, I didn't mention this in the Scorpio example when I was illustrating this from my life, something that happened in my life. It was very, very traumatic. And at that point, I did not have this book. And it was after I got this book that things really started to turn around for me. This book, The Presence Process by Michael Brown, helps you to go into those places where you're trying to avoid things. And Libras in particular, because of the mental way that energy moves through people with strong Libra energy, it's very mental, you know, and it stays very focused in the mental plane, and it goes in circles and mental, you know, very focused in that area. The energy of feeling is something that was kind of unfortunately worked out of most children by the time they get into adults. It's like, you don't have time to feel, you don't have, it's not a priority. Your emotions and your mental health are not a priority. You just have to do things and take action and face reality and do like whatever all these other things are, you know? And the feeling aspect of life for all people, but especially people that have very strong mental energy, it makes you very mentally agile and is a benefit in wonderful ways. And it can be to your detriment in some ways, and this is one of them, where you can kind of sublimate these feelings into ideas that are concepts that are discussed rather than actually felt. And he says in the book, don't get this book to feel better, get this book to get better at feeling. But I can tell you that once you get better at feeling, you actually wind up feeling better in general, because all the things that you avoided that you're not feeling well about, things start to shift because you're not avoiding them anymore and you're not trying to avoid a challenge in life. You know, I notice a lot of people look to astrology to see, when are things going to get better? When is something good going to come to me? That's like a very common question that people have watching horoscopes, you know, and that is a complicated thing because you, first of all, can't look for happiness outside of yourself because it's just not, it's always fleeting. Second, it's why, the bigger question to ask is, why do you have the pattern of being unhappy to begin with? And looking to something outside of yourself. And how can you resolve that? You know, that's the focus of my self-development work and why I can't separate astrology from self-development, because you can't make the most of transits or the aspects in your natal chart unless you're working on that aspect of yourself. And for Libras, this period of time and the times coming up in the next coming months, this is really the message that wants to come through to you that's going to help make your life so much better. Okay, so we have all of that going on, and then we have some general transits. We have the aftermath of the eclipses, and for some of you, this will be a genuine aftermath. You will have had a very, very difficult time from the eclipses, and some of you, you will not have. Some of you will be holding space for the people who had a difficult time, and some of you will have your worlds rocked in super positive ways by the eclipses. So the aftermath would be like a funny way of saying like the shock waves from a positive event, you know, because sometimes shocking good news can be just as unsettling as shocking, you know, bad news, because it's like, whoa, things are totally different and they're changing and I can't like keep anything anchored because it's such a big deal, you know. So you could have had fabulous news and you could have had both, not good news and fabulous news. Eclipses are notorious for that. But in any case, by the time October comes, most of you will have already gotten whatever that news is. And you might still have pieces that need to come together over the coming months, but most people will have received their news already. A very small percentage of people will actually receive the major eclipse news or information or occurrences in October. So you might see those in October. We have the Venus shadow period. Venus retrograde has been dominating our experience since the end of June in some form, the pre-shadow period, then the retrograde period, and then the going direct period that happened September 6th. But we had the shadow period that goes until October 9th. And that's really a big deal because I use the example of a car slowing down to make a U-turn when we talk about these retrogrades. You know, you might have thought, oh, it's September 6th, so September 7th, I'm going to do all the things I wasn't supposed to do when Venus was in retrograde because now it's direct. And first of all, you'd be delivered right into the Mercury shadow period. But second of all, you're just at the point of the U-turn where you're like watching all the cars whizzing by you, like, you know, you slowed down to make this U-turn, and that's what it's like whether things are slowing down to go retrograde or slowing down to go direct. It's a very similar energy. You're cruising along at 60 miles an hour, and then you have to like get over all the way to the left lane and, you know, then stop and then wait for all the cars whizzing by and then go and then start getting up to full speed while the cars are whizzing by. That's what it's like. So you will have just pulled into one of the lanes to try to start to speed up from your U-turn as of September 6th with Venus. And Venus rules love, beauty, and money. So all things in those areas will just be kind of like the cars are whizzing by and you're still like going slow and it's awkward, you know? So October 9th is when the Venus retrograde shadow period is completely clear. But that's also the day that Mercury goes direct. And there's more chaos around the going direct in those several days before and after. So again, if you're like, okay, October 10th, October 11th, I'm going to do everything now because Mercury's direct, Venus is direct, just hold your horses a little longer. Your better dates for launching things are around October 23rd and October 24th. Those are the times that I've been waiting for. Those are the times that the Mercury shadow period, the post-shadow period will be clear. Venus retrograde will be clear. Challenging aspects with Venus that happen in the first couple of weeks of the month will be clear. You'll be right into some awesome aspects with Venus, and I go into more detail about this in the monthly write-up that I do for my VIP email group. So if you sign up for my free email newsletter, you get a written report about a month ahead of time, or depending on when you sign up, you get it sent out within a week of when you sign up as a resend. But I go into a lot more details about this like boxing match that Venus has been in and like weary. And then once we get up to October 23rd, we've got these beautiful aspects with Venus with Pluto. And then on the 25th, we have Venus with Jupiter. And that's a magical time to get some things going, you know, launch things, do new things. There is one little piece there, which is Mercury opposing Uranus. And that is awkward. And Mercury rules how you move your body and what you move your body in. So cars, planes, trains, you know, bikes, news, information, how you share and express ideas. And then Uranus is coming and jolting that with this challenging angle. So I kind of wish that weren't there to poop on the party of the Venus lineups with Pluto and Jupiter. But you know, this is the nature of astrology. It's why it's so maddening. It's like, just want something to just be whatever, like easily this is positive, this is negative, you know, that's how people want to frame it, but it just doesn't work that way. You know, there's always positive things and challenging things, and you know, so it's what are you going to do with it? That's really the most important question you can ask, along with the other questions about, you know, are you being trapped in that happy thing? But happy game. I'll be happy when game. These are big questions. They supersede all of astrology, you know? So, that particular transit of Mercury and Uranus can bring in jolting news, can bring in information or a jolt to your body, you know, or your vehicle of some sort that's not welcome. And it may or may not have anything to do with the other positive energy of what's going on. So you just want to look out for that as you're driving and or texting and walking and, like, you know, communicating, things like that. Just be a little bit alert there. I think we should always be alert, right? But a little bit more alert during those times. So I can't see what's going on in your individual chart. That's one of the places where astrology, you know, general horoscope astrology kind of fails miserably at assisting you, is that first, people doing reports can't look at each of your individual charts at any given moment, and that's going to either supersede things that are going on in the stars or corroborate them and further support them or have caveats, you know. So if you would like some assistance with that, then go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, where you can see more about my coaching packages. You will also start to see over time, depending on when you're watching this, some graduates from my apprenticeship program who are ready to be doing readings. You can see more about them. And definitely while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter, where you become part of my community and get access to many things that nobody else knows about. So I hope you have a wonderful October, and I'll see you next time. Bye.